The rise of bruh. In order to understand this, we first have to talk about the word bro, which is the origin version of bruh. Surprisingly, that word has been used throughout the 50s, with different smaller spikes in the 60s. It wasn't until the year 2005 where things really started to increase, and then since then, the usage of bro has skyrocketed. Now, bruh is like a certain form of bro, a slang word of a slang word. It looks like it has a lot of catching up to do, but when you compare bruh to other slang forms of bro, it's actually doing pretty great. For example, when comparing to breh, bruv, brev, and brah, bruh is doing the best. Did I pronounce all those correctly? Breh, bruv, brev, bruh. Brev was the only popular slang form of bro back in the 50s. Brev seems awfully British, actually. Oh, actually, no, that's bruv. Surprisingly, there was a brah in the 1950s and 60s, but most shockingly, you can see a slight bruh in the 50s, but then they stopped using it in the 60s. The first big change occurred in the 90s when the word brah really took off. I was there for that. I was there 3,000 years ago. But that was just a cultural moment it had because it pretty much died in the new millennium, although there's been like a slight resurgence. Breh has only recently occurred, but it's really not gaining much ground. It's really all about the bruh. And I think this is due to just the amount of usage. Like, yeah, you can use this as a short version of bro, but I find that myself and a lot of my friends use bruh in so many other contexts. Like, I'll be drunk during a night out and I'll break a silence with just bruh. That basically means I'm cooked. I need to go home immediately. Here's another good example. Bruh is usually used like, what the hell are you thinking now, too? Like, if you're with your homie and he just randomly starts screaming at his mom, you can be like, bruh. Or in other words, it can be used in a disappointing way. We are truly living in a bruh moment. But speaking of bruh moments, the fourth most voted party during the 2020 presidential election. That was the most recent, with Joe Biden facing off against Trump. So obviously the Democratic Party or the Republican Party were the two most voted parties. Third apparently was basically all libertarian. They never get even close, but they are often considered the US's third party option. So this is the fourth most popular party in each US state, and the vast majority is the Green Party. But I don't exactly know who that was back in 2020. Was it Jill Stein? Oh no, it was apparently Howie Hawkins. However, the gray states here voted for just an independent. They might have all been different, possibly, or the same guy. Again, remember, this is the fourth most voted candidate in the 2020 election. A lot of states didn't even have four options, like Montana and South Dakota. Same for Pennsylvania. This is where things get interesting. The Conservative Party of New York. There are so many things on this map that I've never heard of. Louisiana with the Birthday Party. What? Was this like a joke? Louisiana, what? And that's not technically a write-in because there is a category for just write-ins. Didn't like Kanye West get 4,000 votes in 2020? I really wish we knew which write-in they were choosing. Alabama, Virginia, North Dakota, Nebraska. I mean, technically, you know, like Chuck E. Cheese himself could be a write-in candidate. West Virginia with something known as the Forest Party. Also Oregon with the Pacific Green. That's not different? That's not the Green Party, I guess. Oregon gotta be different. I love how West Virginia and Oregon can't just have a normal Green Party. Oh, the Birthday Party is Kanye's political party? What? Apparently, these were some of the most popular write-in candidates during the 2020 election. Okay, well, that's okay. I can't say I'm surprised. How many Europeans that were born before World War I are still alive? This is insane just to think about. WW1 took place in 1914, so all these people had to have been born before that. A lot of countries here either have 1 or 0. Some have 2, like Russia, but the country with the most is France with 36. That obviously means that they also lived through World War II as well, which again is even more mind-blowing. The oldest from this map comes from Spain. Maria here was born in 1907, but Spain also has 18 other people that were born before World War I. Meanwhile, the youngest is Isabella here from Italy. She was born July 26, 1914, or 2 days before World War I started. France and Italy are definitely winning on this map, having the most amount of people. I'm gonna assume most of these people from this map are probably women because they live a lot longer than men. I wonder if we can find out the data. I want to know how many are men because I bet you it's not much. The vast majority of these they've got to be ladies. Crazy to think that a lot of these people were born just before humans flew for the first time. They were almost born in a world without planes. And then to think they were gonna see the first man land on the freaking moon. Imagine being 110 years old and still being listed as the youngest person in something. Countries with the most people by the year 2100, along with how many people they are projected to have. Now this is a fascinating map because you would think that all the countries would be going up, but no, there are actually a couple countries that are predicted to go down, like Indonesia and China. And China's going down a lot. They're currently at 1 billion. They're gonna drop to 732 million in the next century. So we're projecting China to actually drop to 3rd place when they were just in first like 2 or 3 3 years ago. India is still going to be number 1. However, they're supposed to drop as well. Not by too much, not as drastic as China, but still a decrease. But you know what? When you compare that to their current numbers, it's still a lot of people they're going to lose. Geez, China's going to drop by half. That's insane. Now, don't be fooled. Technically, we do have a green up arrow to show that the USA's population is going to increase, and I guess that is technically right. But we're only technically increasing by about 3 million people. It's nothing. Again, the peak might happen in like the 2060s or 2070s, but then it's going to start to go back down again. That's what this projection is claiming anyways. Of course, this might not be perfectly accurate, but you'd be really surprised at how close they get with these projections. And because the data is literally right in front of us, the babies being born right now are going to lead to a direct impact. Indonesia is actually going to drop a little bit. I keep forgetting that Indonesia is going down. They're going to go up, but then they're eventually going to go down again by the year 2100. Then there's Ethiopia and Egypt, a lot of African countries. This will be the population hub in the future, especially with Nigeria. Does anyone want to take a guess of what Europe's going to look like? That's going to be pretty scary. I've heard the Nigerian population projections are extremely overestimated. It does seem like a lot of the times they're overestimating than underestimating. When they make corrections, it's usually going down more. Percentage of NHL players by country. Now, I have to admit, I am not a big hockey watcher. Sorry to all my Canadians out there. I think I've only ever watched like one game. However, I've been getting really interested recently in the way geography affects sports and interests. Like beach volleyball, for example, a completely opposite sport. The nation of Brazil has historically been very dominant, and one of those reasons is literally just geography. They've got tons of coastline, climate that supports this sport all year around. Not to mention they've got a lot of population, and a lot of population that live along the coast throughout the country. So culturally, it's just a popular thing. They're gonna have a lot of people playing it and being good at it. Anyways, so to see Canada dominate in hockey, this shouldn't be surprising. The vast majority of NHL players came from Canada up until the year 2000. This is actually insane. You're talking like 90%. Even Americans really weren't playing all that much. It wasn't until like the last 15 years where things started to get more diverse. Still, the Canadians have the majority with over 40%, but it's slowly becoming more popular in the US with 31% of NHL players as American. Then some other popular countries, we've got Sweden, also Russia here in blue, and then Czechia in 3%. I actually figured it'd be a lot more popular with Russia, but remember that, you know, we're talking the NHL. They have their own version of that known as the KHL. So keep in mind, this league only comes out of North America basically. But look historically at Olympic hockey wins. It has always been Canada, at least in the very beginning. Wow, they were crazy. 1936, the British finally got a gold medal. Then of course the Soviets started winning. There's that famous movie, Oh Miracle, I think is what it's called. US winning. Good to see Canada still dominating though, but Finland won last year. And what's the thing all these countries have in common? They have cold places. Kinda need that to play hockey, yeah. Let's not forget Brazil and their contribution of this guy. That's actually insane that they did that. What a huge accomplishment. Here's a couple of peace proposals that will happen between Ukraine and Russia. Now, I reviewed this map almost 2 years ago, so we might be able to more accurately predict what could happen here. I think there's probably no chance they go back to the day one borders, or basically what Ukraine looked like when this whole thing first started February 24th, 2022. They're probably just not getting this territory back. And since that's the case, I don't even need to mention this one. There's no decisive Ukrainian victory where they get back Crimea. If I had to make a guess, this would definitely be one of them, although the Russians currently occupy much more than just this territory. So this could be the most likely. Right now, the landlocked peace proposal is definitely not looking to be the case. And with that said, the split in half proposal definitely not looking like it's going to be the case either. But who knows how much longer this is going to go on for. I guess there's a chance this could be one of those forever wars, but I guess it all depends. Especially because Russia just recently launched another massive invasion for Ukraine. A massive air conflict has been taking place up above because these borders have been pretty stagnant for the last several months to a year now. We're talking ballistic missiles, air missiles, drones. They also seem to be using Russian airspace again to launch this stuff, but they're mostly being coordinated from neighboring Russian states as well as just off the Black Sea and Crimea. I thought those were planes at first and got scared. Planes wouldn't even make it 20 miles over the border before they got popped though. Big thanks to my patrons this month. I tried to kidnap Drew again, but he put me in his basement. Help. Drew's Argentinian Grandpa. I can't sleep without Drew's voice. Nord, Tyler, Archaeology, aPhatNarwhal, Carmel,
Sarsath,
Pavlik,
DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood,
Fredrik
Tibblin,
Tambre,
KingBearHaze,
LuxembourgLover,
MgMluthegoat,
sebby. If you hear this, I